I thought I'd quickly go over these questions with you just to make sure that we understand what they're asking. So this one here says drag the fractions into the correct boxes. So you've got to tell me which of these fractions, which of these pictures show these fractions. Remember, the denominator, the number at the bottom, remember D for down, shows us how many parts there are in the shape, and the numerator shows us how many are coloured in of those parts. How many of those parts are coloured in? These are all unit fractions because their numerators are 1. So we have a half, a third, a quarter, and a fifth. So let's say we go for the fifth. You need to find which shape has 5 parts in total. Doesn't matter whether it's coloured in or not, but in total. And how many of those parts are coloured in. So it can't be this one because these are 2 parts. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, so that can't be in the fifth. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. Remember, 5. How many of them are shaded in? 1. 1/5. So I move this one into this box. And you keep going until you've found all of them for that fraction. It's up to you whether you want to start off by looking at the shape and then putting it in, or looking at the fraction and finding the shape. That's up to you. But just remember that the denominator, number at the bottom, tells us how many parts altogether, including the coloured part, and the numerator tells us how many of those parts are coloured in. Okay? Now, the second question is a little bit trickier. Because what they've done here, it says click to colour in half. How many bananas should be coloured in? They want you to colour in half of the bananas. Now we know that a half is written like this. And there are 4 bananas. Not the best bananas here, but 4 bananas. Now, usually you'd think, well, there'd be 2 and I'd colour in 1. But that's not always the case because you can find half of this without it just being 2. What you have to do is take these 4 bananas and share them equally into 2 parts. And then we look at how many are in 1 part. So, I draw my parts like this. So there's 2 parts, 2 equal parts. And I have to share my bananas out equally into these 2 parts. So I've got 1 banana, 2, 3, 4. So I've used all 4 bananas equally. Now I want to find out how many is in the 1 part because there's a 1 for us. So I'd have to colour in a half of these bananas. So I'd have to colour in this side of it or that side. That would be 2 bananas that are coloured in. Now the next question says click to colour a quarter. How many apples should be coloured in? Again, there aren't 4 apples because we know a quarter looks like this. There aren't 4 apples there. There are actually 8 apples. So again, I'm going to have to share them out into 4 parts and figure out how many is in 1 part, and that's the amount I need to shade in. So now we share these out. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I only need to find out 1 part because it's just a quarter that I need to colour in. So that would be 1 of the 4 that I need to colour in. 1 box of the 4. So how many are in 1 box? Well, there's 2. So I have to colour in 2 of the apples. So when you see that actually your fraction, the denominator is not the same amount of what's there. So if this was 4 apples, you could easily go, oh, well, there's 4. So there's 4 parts. I just need to colour in 1 apple. When there's more of the object than the denominator, you've got to draw your box, put your parts in, and then share them equally into those parts. and then think, right, well, how many of those parts do I need to colour in? Well, here it's only one, and in one of those parts there's 2 apples, so I only had to colour in 2. Say if this changed, it wasn't a quarter, it was 3/4, you'd have to colour in 3 of those boxes. So then I'd colour in 3 of those boxes because it's asking me for 3 out of the 4. So 1, 2, 3 out of the 4. So how many did I have to colour in? 2, 4, 6. So I would have had to colour in 6 if it was 3/4.